Hey everyone, welcome back to the Mitt podcast, episode number 159. And in this episode, we're going to be talking about the power of no and how to utilize it to protect yourself from the wrong people and environments to give yourself the best possible life. Think about the last time something negative happened to you. It could have been you going to an event, something bad happened there. Could have been you got into an argument, or maybe became friends with a person or a group of people, and it ended up causing so much heartache and headache in your life, or even taking a job that didn't work out. All of these events happen because you said yes to something. Now, this is not me saying that you have to walk on eggshells and you got to do all these big analysis and do all this prep just to say yes to something. But the reason why I bring this up is that we control the guardrails of our life. We control who we allow in and what environments we choose to place ourselves in. While we can't control the world, we can control who we allow in it. And so if we don't build up our confidence, our self-esteem, but also get clarity about what we do and do not want in our life, we're going to end up in a lot of sporadic, interesting, and unique situations. And the better looking you are, the more you put yourself out there. When you accept a new job, when you move to a new city, if you start making content on social media, what happens is you're putting yourself out there to a lot of people. And this is typically where these laws and these rules break down. Because if you're not around a lot of people, you got your core group, you live in this one city, you do the same things every single week, you're not really tested. You're not really given a lot of opportunities to have to say yes or no. But when you are going after big things, when you're starting a company, you're betting on yourself, you're in this brand new city or environment, that's when you're going to be faced with a lot of opportunities. A lot of them great. A lot of them can change your life for the better, but also a lot of things that can change your life for the worse. And so that's why when chaos or an increase of circulation occurs, this is where the fundamentals in your training can typically break down. So this is why you have to be so conscious about what you do and don't want. All right? The first thing is that it's important that we all gain enough confidence that we are willing to walk away from the wrong people and the wrong opportunity, even if it could be good, simply because we know we deserve more and we're not aligned with that person or that opportunity. I want you to think about one of your friends, because we all have one of these friends, and maybe, unfortunately, it might be you, that has dated or maybe worked for a company to where time after time after time, every single relationship or situation is extremely toxic. I mean, you got to go to therapy for all three of the situations. Everything they touch becomes toxic. Now, it's fair to say that that person is a common denominator and they may likely be the reason for the toxicity. But also, when you peel it back a little bit further, they usually have a very similar taste in people. And because they want to be in a relationship so bad, or because they need a job so bad, they aren't willing to say no and walk away out of fear of being alone or not being able to provide for themselves. Or, for example, you could have the same thing as a business owner where you keep hiring the wrong people because you have to have someone for this position or the business won't work. But the problem is, when you are in a needy state, when you're not willing to walk away from the wrong people in the wrong situation, it causes you to overlook or miss the red flags that only get bigger and cause chaos and problems in your life. And if you notice, almost always, before someone builds their dream company, meets their husband or wife, or suddenly does something that alters the course of their life forever and they elevate like crazy, it is almost always from a complete state of wholeness, where they almost gave up on the need to have to get this one thing. Have you ever noticed, have you met someone, or you've seen this in the movies too, someone wanted to get married so bad. It's all they wanted. And they went out of bad relationship, relationship until suddenly they dated someone that was so bad that they said, you know what, I'm never dating again. I don't even care if I get married. I'm done. I'm not dating anymore. I'll be a nun. I'm going to be by myself. I'll work. I'll be a cool aunt or uncle. What almost happens? Bam. When they least expect it, it could be the next week, they'll suddenly meet their husband or wife. Or when someone has been working at a corporate job for years and years and years, and they're extremely talented, and they make great money, on paper their life looks perfect, but they've always wanted to be an entrepreneur. They've always wanted to start a company. And finally, they say, F it, I'm quitting. I'm going to start a company. I don't care what happens. Yes, they had a big desire. Yes, they bet on themselves. But what they did is they removed the fear from taking that action. And because they made that decision in certainty and with confidence, what they wanted effortlessly came to them. When you know what you want and you know your true value, you have no problem saying no to the wrong things. That's why the people who get obsessed with an opportunity too quickly or fall in love too quick, it's a sign that someone doesn't have a strong self-esteem. They need someone else or something to feel whole. And the problem is, to actually help you become whole, the most strategic thing that life could ever do to you is to remove that thing that was a crutch, so you have no other choice other than to level up and become a whole person that doesn't need anyone. Then it's natural for you to take that next step in life. So we have to be very conscious about what we're going after in life so we can properly allow the right people and the right opportunities to enter. I'll give you an example. Think about how hard it is to get into Harvard. I know people that I grew up in high school with that were top of the class. Perfect. They were like a made-up created character, and they still could not get into Harvard. But I want you to think about this. Imagine if you had lunch, like next week, with the president of Harvard, and y'all hit it off. Y'all were having drinks, y'all were laughing, y'all all liked the same things, and y'all were like long lost best friends. Is the president of Harvard going to be like, you know what? There's something different about you. Screw it. You know what? I'm going to let you into Harvard. You can come. I know there's all these protocols and all this stuff you guys met. Just as long as you text me, hey, I want to go to Harvard, you're in. Imagine if Harvard started doing that. The value of that diploma would tank because they start letting so many people in. For those of you that are really successful and have bought expensive cars, you know how difficult it is to buy certain brands. Same thing for watches. Like when I was trying to buy my first Rolex, I walk in, I couldn't buy one. I was on a wait list. I had to go buy one in Italy from a reseller. I went to go buy a Ferrari, and they're like, I was like, hey, do you have a Pista or do you have an F8? Like, no, I'm sorry, sir. Like, we'd love to give you an allocation, but it has to start with these two. I couldn't buy a Ferrari. I ended up buying a Mercedes. Why is that the case? Because Ferraris, Patek Philippe, Rolexes, they're so valuable that if they give it to anyone, it hurts their brand. It's the exclusivity that makes the product more valuable. So if you are saying no to more people, if you're difficult to set, like for example, just because you meet someone at a conference and they're cool and they're smart, it doesn't mean you go and start a business with them. Just because you have 1 or 2 dates with someone that's beautiful and not crazy doesn't mean you ask them to marry you or move in. You don't even know anything about that person. And so it's important to control the pace of your life. This doesn't mean some things can go faster than others. Sometimes there's synergy, sometimes there's great opportunities, sometimes it is truly a great fit. But the higher you go up in life, the harder it is to get into certain rooms. You have to have a certain level of credibility, respect, trust, and vetting that has to occur. One of the main people you always want to be wary of is a person that does not have self-control and is willing to be your best friend, date you, work with you, go into business with you immediately with no vetting. This is a sign of a lot of red flags that cause a lot of issues to occur. I'll tell you about one of the biggest business mistakes I ever made. I was killing it, right? I built this successful company, and I just moved to Austin. I'd been there about a year. And there was this tech guy. I'm going to call his name. I'm going to say his name's Johnny, right? And through mutual friends that I trust, by the way, and I'm still cool with, they knew Johnny from high school. And somehow we met through mutuals. And he allegedly had been a part of a sale of a big company, and he got millions of dollars. And he specialized in software engineering. Obviously, I specialize in general business and sales and operations, things like that. And crypto was blowing up. I had done well in crypto. And we started talking. And next thing you know, we started talking about what if we started this company in this? And we hit it off, by the way. And so we start talking and about this, and we come up with the idea, and we think about the name. And a week and a half later, we're like, let's start this company together. Be 50-50 partners, boom, 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 boom. The next thing you know, he invites me. He goes, hey, man, I rented a B&B in California. Come out here. I got some friends. Like, just come stay for the week. I'm like, okay, that's great. I'm running the company, my other company, right? And we're making millions of dollars. We're killing it. And all of a sudden, I start noticing, he's like, hey, man, we need money fast. And I'm like, well, what do we need? I mean, yeah, of course we want to grow the company, but what do we need money for? He's like, well, we just need more money. So clearly, I started noticing he had a money issue. But at first, I was like, okay, well, what do you need it for? Like, we're not running ads yet. We're going B2B. So it's not like we need to pay for ads or anything yet. We don't have any employees yet. We can contract out software engineers. This isn't difficult. And I ended up opening a line of credit with American Express, putting it under their company name, giving him a permission to use it and me to use it. And I think the limit was like 30 grand. And I never used the card because we had no business expense. Like, what were we going to use? Anything. Like, we had no employees yet. We just started. This was a full-fledged startup. And I was setting us up meetings with all of these crypto firms, and they were interested. Like, we started kind of making some traction. It was a great idea. And suddenly, he sends me this like 2-inch thick packet of agreement, of articles of incorporation, all this stuff. And I'm like, Johnny, it's just us two. Why am I signing something that's as thick as a Bible and stuff? Like, one wrong word and I'm getting screwed out. So I already started growing suspicion. And I had to go to Houston to see family. I said, I haven't looked at the Amex account for this company. Something just told me to look. Like I said, I didn't even think I had it in my wallet. I think I had it at home. That's how little I was thinking about it, because we just weren't there yet. I look at it. There's like $25,000 sitting there that we owe. I thought I was looking at, one of my other businesses where we run $50,000 to $100,000 and we pay it off at the end of the month, right? So I was like, wait, does that say Mike? And I'm like, what? And then I'm like, okay, maybe it's like lawyer or something that we've done. I'm looking through and it's like St. Laurent, this restaurant, Four Seasons Hotel, First Class Delta, this, boom, 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 boom. Basically, imagine if you gave some young kid $25,000 to go on a shopping spree and act rich. That's what happened. And I ended up saying, dude, what the hell is this? You gave me 25 grand, like we're done. The whole thing. I'm not going to tell you the business breakup story. I got out of it and it was fine. But there was a lesson here. One is I should have set better expectations, even if I did it. But the bigger lesson to all of this is I didn't properly vet or take enough time to build a real relationship with Johnny, per se, to know if he was actually the right fit to go into business with. Right? If I would have taken more time to learn who he was, done background checks, talk to friends, get recommendations, look into things deeper, built at least 5-6 months of time, and then set good expectations for everything, that would have never happened. Luckily, he paid me back, but I almost lost 25 grand. But I did lose all that energy and time. Why? Because I got so excited about the potential. I was focused on obviously the main thing, my main business, that I took my eye off the ball and ended up getting hit in the face for $25,000 basically, right? So you have to be willing to say no, right? If I would have done the necessary work there, I would have never gone through that experience. But I'm thankful I did it, because that could have been a 10 or $100 million or even $1 billion issue. Luckily, I learned it early. So we have to be able to say no to the wrong people, right? I want to tell you a quick story. If you guys have ever seen the Michael Jordan movie, you're going to know what I'm talking about here, right? So when Michael Jordan was coming out of University of North Carolina, he was the number 2 pick. Hakeem Olajuwon went number 1, ended up winning 2 titles for the Houston Rockets. And Michael Jordan went number 2 to the Chicago Bulls. Chicago Bulls were one of the worst teams in the NBA. And there was a lot of hype around Michael Jordan. Now, Reebok, Adidas, Nike, all of these different companies were in a bidding war to get Michael to be one of their athletes. Now, at the time, Adidas was the largest sports company in the world, like landslide. Nike was, I'm trying to think of a comparison. It would be like Asics or something small, like something that you're like, no, I'm not wearing Nike. You've heard of it. And some people haven't heard of it, but maybe an athlete's heard of it, but they're like, I don't want to do that. And so anyways, Michael really wanted to sign to Adidas. He loved Adidas. He wore it all the time. He wore it every day. He already played basketball in Adidas shoes until they started meeting with Nike. And Nike was aggressive. They were new, and they had this incredible founder named Phil Knight. And what ended up happening is they started offering different terms and different agreements. And typically how deals worked back then is you were basically sponsored. So whoever gave you the shoes, whether it was your shoe or you just wore Nike, and they would essentially pay you money every month. You'd be on billboards, you'd be in commercials, but you had no equity and you had no royalties. You had no equity in your brand. You basically signed over your name and likeness for money, but you got to say you're a Nike or Adidas athlete. But this is what was different. They had all these companies bidding, and yes, he had a fantastic agent, but oddly, his mom got on the phone and said, Nike, we'll do the deal. Nike's so excited. He said, but you're going to pay Michael a royalty for every single shoe that's sold. And that the guy that was responsible for doing that deal for Nike said, ma'am, no offense, I'm sorry, but that's just not how this works. That's never been done before. And she said, Michael is special. You want him for a reason. You will make the deal work. I'm going to hang up. You call me when you're ready to do the deal. He goes, he tells Phil Knight. Phil Knight says, screw it, let's do it. They say yes. They were projecting that year, that rookie year, that they were going to sell $3 million worth of Jordan shoes. They ended up selling $126 million worth of shoes. And Michael Jordan gets a royalty still to this day for every single Jordan shoe that is sold. And right now, passively, he makes $200 to $300 million a year because of that one decision by his mom. Because she was willing to say no. Look, I know, and at the time, he was going to be one of the highest paid athletes as a rookie. New brand, billboards everywhere. She still said, nope, we want royalties. And that one conversation made Michael Jordan a multi-billionaire and also changed Nike forever. So the moral of the story is, if you can't walk away from the good, you will never get the great. If you cannot leave your old friends that don't support you, that are negative, or your old relationship, or pick up everything you own and leave the city you grew up in and go to New York, Miami, LA, or London, or go to Dubai, go bet on yourself and go start a company and do something huge, then you can never expect to do big things. Look, every stage of life, you're going to have to give something up. It could be drinking. It could be going out with friends. It could be drugs. It could be a bad relationship, you name it. But you have to be willing to say no. So hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. If you did, make sure to hit the like button, comment below. If you're watching on YouTube, press the hype button. Every time it does, it pushes it out to more people. As always, I'm rooting for you guys. I hope you have an incredible week. I'll see you guys again for episode 150. Thanks, guys.